Going live. The Hangout on Air is live. Good morning. Welcome. Happy Friday. First thing in the morning here on the left coast. It's almost lunchtime on the right coast. Not right as in right versus wrong, but right as in the right side of the map. Because I always get my east and west confused, so I call it right and left. And if you're in the middle somewhere, well, just do the math. I always get confused. Mountain, central. Sometimes of the year it's the same. Sometimes it's different. I can never keep up.
Just say somewhere in between.
Yeah, somewhere in the middle. Somewhere over the rainbow. So, good morning. And Billy Ann joining us for the first time in a while, right? Live.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And Bob, we're going to come back to you in a couple minutes because, of course, you were the main event today. But good morning. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And Dennis, always a pleasure. Dennis, you're another one who's been with us since the very beginning. We were talking about that before we went live this morning about how this all started with Google Hangouts, and we had the group on Google Plus, and we were talking about how I ultimately decided, and it wasn't really me alone. I mean, we discussed it, I remember, and I suggested, hey, let's do the group on Facebook because that's where everybody is anyway, and we're just there all day, so it'll be easier to jump in there and comment and ask questions and so on. And a couple of people had really been substantially off of Facebook who, I think Tina was one of them, who actually revived their Facebook account just to participate in our ABO group, which was cool. So the reason we were talking about that is because Gina showed us, and I can't find the post in ABO, it's already gotten buried, where Gina linked us to the blog post on the Intuit blog, listing us as, at least in the first position, if not first place, as one of the best resources on the internet for accountants and stuff. So that was exciting. Eventually I'll find the article and I'll bring it up for everybody and share it, because it wasn't, as we were saying, it wasn't even that recent, relatively speaking. It was from a couple of weeks ago. Gabriel, good morning.
Good
Welcome.
morning.
Always a pleasure to see you. Looks like you're ready for a baseball game.
I sure am.
You playing a little ball today?
No, just in the spirit. It's Friday.
Gotcha.
My boss made me wear it, so you know.
That's good. And Gina, good morning.
Good morning. I've
How
been
are
on
you?
vacation. It's nice to be back.
Did you go anywhere special?
I went to my son's house. Got to play with my grandchildren, which is always fun.
Nice. Nice. And James Clemay with us for the first time in a long time. Animal. James
You have
might
to
be
watch
muted.
how you say animal. That's the Muppets animal. There are other animals.
Right. No, I was not calling James an animal per se, but that's his icon there.
Yes. James says howdy back via chat.
Got it. And Kelly, who's muted also, good morning. And then we have Larry, Enter the Dragon.
Yes, good morning.
Good
Beautiful
morning, Larry.
day on the north coast of Long Island.
There you go. I miss Long Island. Everybody you all know I grew up on Long Island, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we were talking about groups and our Facebook group on ABO, Accountants, Bookkeepers, and Business Owners. It was actually our ABO group on Facebook. I kind of said that backward. It's early and I've only had one cup of coffee so far. But
The link is in the chat if you want it.
oh, thank you so much. So let me share my screen real quick, because I'm obviously very excited and proud of this. So, sharing is caring. So here it is. I'll click on my thumbnail so that for those kids watching at home, it'll stay resident on your screens. But here it is, 6 accountants killing it in social media. Oh, so I didn't even realize they gave credit to the accountants themselves, lo and behold. So first place, number 1, Facebook, and they highlighted me in our ABO group, and of course giving credit where credit's due. I mean, we started this group, Gina and Dennis. You guys were there from the beginning, long before School of Bookkeeping itself got launched, and we had, I think, maybe 86 members, and it was just kind of an intimate group of us sharing and caring and helping one another. And then when I brought Eric on board, he started putting the link to the group on every email that we sent out to our email list. And that email list was growing, and lo and behold, people were just requesting to join ABO more and more and more. And it's blown up. It's how many members? do we have now? Let's take a look. And I will close my little chats here. It's funny, I used to find the chats to be so invasive, but I actually use them all the time now.
Are we on LinkedIn?
No, this is Facebook. Oh, we did. I don't have an ABBA group on LinkedIn per se. I don't think.
Okay.
I may have started one at one point. I'm trying to remember, but it's just it never really took off. Plus, I figured, to be honest, everybody, by the time we started this, you can see it on screen now, 4,167 members, 79 new. And it pretty much is up there. There's about 80 new at any given time because we're just constantly getting more people requesting membership. Should we let Carol in? Let's let her in. Raj, who's from Zoho, this is some quirky thing. I've let him in like 6 times, and then it keeps coming back and saying he's requested. So he's in the group. I don't know why it's still saying that he's requested. That's a Facebook fluke, apparently. So, but yeah, so Intuit has given us a really, really nice little highlight there. Let me go back to that real quick if I can click properly. And so they show us with the ABBA group on Facebook. For Twitter, they credit Kathy Iconis with her QBO chat. And then Google Plus, it's funny, this guy, W. Cotton Mather. Any of you guys watch the show Salem by any chance?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so Salem is based on the Salem witch trials, and apparently some of what they depict is factually accurate. And one of the characters in the show, I looked it up, I Googled it. That's what I love about Google, is you can find that, learn anything. Cotton Mather was actually one of the people from back in those days who was hunting witches. So
Yeah,
I thought
that
this was
sounds
funny.
about right.
It stood out to me. So this guy, W. Cotton Mather, I've never heard of him before, but apparently he's doing a lot on Google Plus. So congratulations, Cotton Mather, and I hope you're not still hunting witches. And then we have Pinterest, Vincent Cerveo. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And Pinterest is great. I have Pinterest boards that feature different videos of mine on YouTube, and it's a great way. I always say to people, it's just another place. Like I was saying earlier, it doesn't cost me anything extra to put my content out there on Pinterest boards. So why not? It's one more place people might stumble on my content, and you just never know. And I frequently get notifications that people have repinned Excel videos and QuickBooks videos and other things that I've done. So clearly somebody's finding it and it's working. So it's worthwhile, in other words, to use Pinterest. YouTube, I'm a little insulted they didn't pick me again for YouTube, but it's okay. I'll yield to the Ohio Society of CPAs. Apparently they have a wonderful and professional-looking YouTube channel, and then there's LinkedIn, with which they credit McLadry Accounting for having done well on LinkedIn, which, honestly, I was a little surprised it wasn't Michelle Long, but oh well. Oops, I'll get that. Okay, what is that? Where's that coming from? That was hysterical. Alright, sorry, I'm going to start muting people until I figure out where that's coming from, so don't take it personally. Okay, I actually think that was coming from James. All right, so James, nothing personal, but we didn't need that interruption. So, anyway, thank you, Intuit. Thank you, Diane Mackey, for writing us up and including us, especially for putting us #1. I really appreciate that. And without further ado, I want to get into today's content. As usual, if you are watching from home, then please post your comments and questions right there on the event page. Also, real quick, I always have to give props. Every day of the week in that ABBA group on Facebook, we have an official chat topic hosted by a different person on Mondays. It's Carrie Kahn, who talks about the different QuickBooks products that are out there. Tuesdays, it's Mariette Martinez, our tax expert. She's an enrolled agent. She knows taxes inside and out. Wednesdays, we have Jay Kimmelman on Xero. Thursdays, we have our very own Billy Ann Grigg talking about QBO and QuickBooks, and she's here with us today live. And Fridays, later today, we have Joanne Del Balso. So each day they post with a hashtag so you can follow it within the ABBA group, and they pick a topic, and people, I mean, of course we can ask questions and answer them all day long, but theirs is a specifically focused topic each day that they've chosen to talk about. So if you're not already a member, you got to be in it to win it, right? Isn't that what they say? So go onto Facebook, join the Abo group, request to join. As long as you don't spam us. If you're going to spam us, it has to be Ray-Bans. You're not allowed to spam with anything other than Ray-Bans. But other than that, don't spam us. And that's only because, you know, everything I do is, of course, sponsored by Ray-Ban, right? So without further ado, I want to bring up our topic. You know, you no doubt saw the title. I'm guessing based on the response that we had and the number of people that said they were coming and watching today, that the title may have gotten somebody's attention somewhere. How to build multiple streams of income without losing focus. And it's based on a blog post that I recently posted on the BQE software blog. So if you haven't already gone there, and if you're not in the habit of following it, and if you haven't already added it into your feed reader, then do so. It's blog.bqe.com. And you have to go there. It's one of the reasons that I was sort of attracted to and excited to work with BQE, you know, within their blog is the mountain of amazing content, and it's all based on productivity, you know, and it's all great stuff that you can, I mean, if you're looking to read material that's going to help you grow and improve in your career and your business and whatever it is that you're doing, then you've got to add the BQE software blog, you know, to the mix of things that you read, to the mix of resources that you access, because there's great information in there. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on there. There's other people who write on that blog who write amazing stuff, not the least of whom is Shafat himself, who's the CEO and founder. And you'll see Bob, who I'm about to introduce, also posts on there, and Jenny and Steve Burns posts great stuff on there. He has one post that stands out to me about how he compares his passion for riding his bicycle to how he equates that to how he has, you know, been successful in his career, and it's just great stuff. So do visit blog.bqe.com and make sure that you know, follow that and read the stuff that we're posting on there, because I really believe it's great stuff. And I recently posted a blog post with this title, How to Build Multiple Streams of Income Without Losing Focus, and it was inspired specifically by a conversation I had with Bob a couple of weeks ago, where we were talking about the BQE software partner programs that are available. And BQE, in case you don't know, has 3 major products. One you're probably already familiar with because we've got the course on it. It's called BillQuick, right? And it's time, expenses, billing, and project management. But then we also have ArchiOffice, which is the same concept, but obviously designed specifically for architects. And then we have Engineer Office, which, as you might gather from the title, is the same concept designed. Guess who? Guess who Engineer Office is designed for, right? So it's designed for engineers, of course. So there's 3 major products: BillQuick, ArchiOffice, and Engineer Office. And the partner programs that BQE offers, which Bob is going to come on in just a second and talk to you about, are programs that are designed to, here's the concept and the basic context, which is this. We have the course on BillQuick. I know a lot of you are using BillQuick and recommending it to your clients, some of you based specifically on the course. I seem to remember, Billy Ann, and if you don't mind unmuting and chiming in, I remember, I think, that you got very excited after we launched the course, and you said, oh my God, this is amazing, I love this product, and you started getting your clients into it. And so you're a perfect example of somebody who we're kind of talking to today, because the whole idea here is if you're already going to recommend it to your clients and you already love the product, and how you can build multiple streams of income without losing focus is doing what you're already doing. You can get a thank you from BQE software by way of a referral fee, by way of a commission that they're going to pay you as a thank you for referring the customers to BQE. Why not do it? You can make a little bit more money, even a lot more money, doing what you're already doing. In other words, you don't have to lose focus. You don't have to get sidetracked. Just do what you're doing. Recommend the software as you're going to do anyway for your clients, and just get signed up for the program so you can get paid a commission for, you know, for joining. So Billy Ann, chime in real quick, and then Bob will come to you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a rock star in the eyes of that one client now, because they were really struggling trying to use FreshBooks, which wasn't working for them anymore. And you know, they're still working on implementing BQE completely, but it's really helping them a lot.
Great, thank you. And Bob, thank you so much for taking the time out. Welcome. And I'm going to give you the floor. You know, just take it away. Tell us all about the programs. And folks, as usual, if you have questions, feel free to be rude and interrupt and ask all the questions you can possibly ask, because that's how we can get you the most value out of this today.
Okay, well, I'm just going to go to my screen here and start to screen share. I'm a little bit rusty at this, but I'm going to give it a shot. Let's go with the full screen. And of course, if you have trouble seeing something, let me know. The reseller program here really follows from a basic premise, and that is it has to be a win, win, and a win, meaning that the customer has to win, your client. You have to win, and we have to win. So it's got to be a balance across all three of those. So what we came up with, right now we have the recommender or referrer level and the advisor level. We're going to be relaunching the reseller program with enhancements in Q1 of 2016, and at that time we'll be adding the affiliate level. There's a whole bunch of other things being added too during that time, and I'll get to that here in a little bit. But the real key here is that we want to work with people who have clients that can benefit from BillQuick or from ArchiOffice or from Engineer Office. And that's what it's really all about. When I speak with our resellers, I tell them, I don't care if it's just us or it's us and 2 other packages that you're looking at, because ultimately it's going to come down to what's best for the client. We'll compete very hard with that, but at the same time we know that that is ultimately what it comes down to. We also are very confident that we'll be able to serve their needs either right out of the box or maybe with some tweaks to the software that we can do for them. So from that side, we are very confident, and we're very confident because we have 325,000 users and just short of about 15,000 firms that use our software. Vast majority of those are in North America. But we're also in Australia, Ireland, Europe, Africa. I mean, pretty much pick a continent other than Antarctica, and we're there. So, and we've been that way for a long time. Now, the program itself, as you can see, the referrer and advisors are the 2 level. The key difference is that a referrer, by its definition, is basically handing off the lead to us.
By the way, we're still looking at the home slide, so I don't know if you meant to start the slideshow, but just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Actually, I had, so let me do this. This may be a little bit better. Can you see the change in slides now?
Yeah, now I see the reseller levels. Perfect.
Okay, I'll just use this this method then.
Okay.
Through here, I mean, the key thing is that it is when you are a recommender or a referrer, you pass the lead off to us. Inside of our CRM, it's assigned to me and to you. That will prevent channel conflict, meaning that if your client happens to call us, it's going to be referred back to me and from me back to you. It's never going to hit someone else so that there's a conflict between another reseller or a BQE account manager and you. So that's going to be handled very smoothly. Key thing we ask for is just let us know as soon as you mention BillQuick to them or plan to, let us know. And there's a process for that as well, because then we can protect it and make sure that whatever happens, we know how everything should play out. Now, at the advisor level, this is where you take on more investment in time and a little bit in money, and I'll get to that in a second. You're going to be working towards being what we call sales certified. And my goal there is to simply make you comfortable with the software. Now, keep in mind, either level, you don't have to worry about demos and things like that because we collaborate with you through this process. We provide the marketing tools, not just information sheets and brochures and comparison charts, but we do the demos for you. We do 4 demos a week as a standard pieces. 2 of them are for project-oriented companies like architects and engineers. But by the way, that's just 4 for BillQuick alone. We also do a 5th one for ArchiOffice and Engineer Office. So we've got 1 for ArchiOffice and Engineer Office, 2 per week for BillQuick for architects, engineers, IT firms, other project-oriented companies. We do 1 a week for accountants and business consultants, and then we do 1 per week for attorneys, which is one of the fastest growing areas of our business right now. And a lot of that has to do with we have a 20-plus year expert on staff for the legal market. She knows time slips and practically every other legal package on the planet, and she's certified in most of them. So she has on top of that, she's actually worked in law firms, so she has a very deep knowledge of how the attorney thinks, what their real issues are, and so forth. So we're very happy to have that. And of course, in the other areas, architects, engineers, we've got architects and engineers on staff. Our founder, Shafat Kazi, engineer. Steve Burns, who designed and is still in charge of the Archie office and engineer office, he's an architect. In fact, he does some of the architectural work for our, for the build out of our new building and all that kind of stuff. So we have the experts on staff. I'm an accountant. I started my career in public accounting, worked extensively with accounting firms. So we have this expertise on staff, and of course we bring that to bear to the products and to the services. Now, as you can see from here, you've got some. These are the percentages. The only thing that has changed is this. This had to be canceled because of the high cost that we're running into for our subscriptions right now. We're working towards that, but we have to get past a certain watershed point. So that's coming, but it's not here today. We have other things that we're doing. The key is that if you recommend a lead to us, you're going to get 10% of the licenses, and then you're going to get 5% of the services. That's what it's all about. If you're an advisor, once you've been sales certified, you start at 20% and 5%, and you can grow up to 35% based on the annual sales that you accumulate. And there's marketing tools there, everything else, training. And of course, you have access to additional training. We have free webinars that are available on our website. I've got an even longer list that I've shared with many of the advisors, and we make sure that you've got the information that will make you feel comfortable. And then from here, of course, if you're at the recommender level, there's no fee to join. If you decide to go to the advisor level, whether initially or later, it starts at $495 per year. The $1295 here is essentially for if you also want a copy of the software for your own purposes, for your own firm. You are provided, of course, a demo copy of the software licensed for the sample databases and everything else. So you've got all of our software, and even beyond that, if you want, things for our on-site, or it's going to be our online software, we can do that. Here's just a few examples of the marketing tools that we provide. Information sheets, brochures, comparisons, case studies, group demonstrations, private demonstrations. If it's a fairly large client that you're working with and you're an advisor, you bet we're going to do a private demonstration. We provide free product webinars, thought leadership webinars, and many of these are recordings of these past webinars are on our website. Now, as Seth started, I mean, we have product out here. We have the online products, BillQuick Online, complete cloud application. We currently integrate with QuickBooks Online with the BillQuick Online. By next spring, we're going to have our BillQuick accounting also part of the online. That's right now is only as part of the desktop, but it's moving to our web software very soon. The BillQuick is our Windows desktop application. The accounting, of course, is an extension of that. The Web Suite is a self-hosted web product. And again, by the time we get to next spring, it will be able to stand on its own and have the full accounting as well. The BillQuick and Web Suite are most commonly combined today.
So, Bob, let me ask you a question on that.
Yeah.
What is the difference then between the Web Suite and BillQuick Online?
The key is where it's hosted. If it's Web Suite, it's self-hosted on your server or on a server that you've leased. If we host it for you, it's BillQuick Online. And
okay, why would I do one versus? It seems to me that why would I do, like, what's the advantage of one over the other? Like, why wouldn't I just do BillQuick Online then, rather than having to pay for or lease a server?
that's a perfect reason to do BillQuick Online. Is you don't have the infrastructure, you don't want that IT infrastructure. It's aging and you want to just keep it for certain things in-house. That's a perfect reason to move everything out to our servers and have us manage it all. That's a perfect reason to do it. Now, there is a unique aspect to this too. If you work with BillQuick Online, and for example, you prefer to work with QuickBooks or Sage 50 Peachtree, for example, or with our BillQuick accounting right now, we integrate our desktop software with the online software. The two of them share information database to database, and that's an automated process. So we found that when we were designing BillQuick Online, first in 2010 and a little bit later, we've been very glad we made this decision. We found most people didn't want to move their accounting into the cloud. It was scary for them. Hacking and everything else, it just made them very nervous. A second reason was they didn't want to give up their QuickBooks desktop. What they were seeing out in the cloud wasn't enough features. And when they did find a full-featured, maybe an ERP kind of level accounting application out there, it was, let's just say, expensive as all get out. So they decided to stay where they're at, usually QuickBooks or Peachtree. We bridge that, let you have some people on a desktop, everyone else out in the cloud, and the two will talk to one another. The security permissions are all the same. Nobody does anything unless they've got permission to do it. So we give the best of both worlds, but the key is that if you've got the infrastructure, you can bring it all in-house and control it. If you don't, or you don't want to, we have the online too. This next one I have here called BillQuick Mobile is essentially for your smartphone, iPhone, Android, Windows. It's for your time and expenses, and it works with all of the different applications: desktop, in-house web, and also online cloud web. So it works with all of them. And one of the unique aspects of our phone is that it allows you to attach files to a time or an expense entry. When I'm on the road, for example, I use this extensively. I mean, in the cabs, in the restaurants, everything else, I'm taking pictures of my receipts, tapping a few fields, and I've got that element for my expense report back in the office. It's not in the phone. It's immediately sent back to the office. So when I get back to the office, I just I just print it out and hand it off to. Well, I don't even print it off anymore. I just hand it off to the controller, and it's all done. That can be a very powerful thing. From a engineers and accountants and attorneys' point of view, many clients require that the receipts be included with the invoice. Through BillQuick, all of the different modules, you can automatically attach those attachments to an invoice. One little click and BillQuick handles it for you. So things like this, where you've got that attachment, whether it's through mobile or one of the other modules, however you get it in there, we can treat that with greater automation and save you a little bit more time. So all of those are thought out in that way. We have supporting modules, things like Agent. It will monitor time card entry, make sure people are getting their time in. Rather than have to threaten them with tasers or baseball bats or whatever it might be, you can simply send them some nice emails saying, put in your time, and let their supervisor know that this is happening as well. Agent can also deliver scheduled reports. Just choose the report, filter it, schedule it, and it's going to show up on that frequency, whether it's weekly, daily, monthly, whatever. And then finally, Agent has business alerts. Very common issue running around the architectural and engineering community, and to a certain extent the IT. Other ones too, but not as bad as these guys. They have great difficulty managing things to a budget. They're going over budget way too often, and of course that just eats away at the profit. With an Agent, you can set an alert that says, when I spend 40% of the contract or 40% of the budget, send me an alert, so we sit down and we make sure everything's on target. So the principal and the project manager meet do it again at 60%, and then at 80%, the principal starts monitoring it on a day-to-day basis, something like that. The agent simply reminds the appropriate people to schedule the meeting or to start watching this in some way, and that's just one alert that of I think it's 41 now that we have out there. So you have elements like that out there. The Outlook add-in, one of my favorites. It will take your appointments, tasks, and emails inside of the Outlook client and turn them into time entries. So you don't have to do duplicate entry. If you live inside of Outlook, it's a hugely valuable tool. And and we have a subset of it too within the Web Suite and the BillQuick Online, where it will read your Exchange server and show you your calendar and allow you to take anything on your calendar and turn it into a time entry. And then finally, the BillQuick HR, forms, tax forms, checklist, all kinds of stuff, help you with hiring, firing, promoting, all that fun stuff. And then also keep track of all the other stuff that happened within the HR too. Excuse me. We created this because we were finding that usually when a firm gets around 7 to 10 people, it really starts to become a real hassle to keep track of where all the forms are, the procedures to follow, the good procedures to follow to make sure you don't get sued, things like that. So we created the product. It shares hours and employees and stuff like that with the BillQuick desktop as well. And that's the BillQuick family. On the Archie Office side, the Archie Office and the Engineer Office, essentially the same software. And then we created online versions. In fact, what I wanted to do, let me bring this down. I'm going to bring this over here just to give you some pictures. Can you see my screen here?
No, now we're looking at your wonderful mug again.
Okay, let me change that again. Screen share. I may have to move that up back over here.
No problem.
Come on. There we go. And screen share, let me show this. Okay. This is essentially the BillQuick software. Desktop, opening navigators, pretty much everything you're going to need to do things. The time, the expenses, multiple ways to do this. By the way, we're called BillQuick for a very good reason, but we don't limit it to just the billing. Our focus is on minimal, what we call minimal entry design. You have minimal number of fields that are required, and that's true throughout the systems. And of course, we go all the way over to the accounting and our own here. The other thing I wanted to note also was, let me switch this over to my browser because I wanted to show you these guys. This is our web suite. And within here, we've got the reminders, the messages, but we've also got the time entries and the expenses and everything else in here. So it becomes very easy for people to work with the system. In 2015, we did a facelift. That was probably the biggest thing we did, but we also did some internal things to our web software. But the facelift was just to make it more open, more white space. In a Windows environment, that white space is important, but it's not the critical piece. In a browser world, because of the way people have interacted on the web, this is a very big deal. It has a psychological impact of just making it so much friendlier. And so you have things like this throughout the software. And again, full set of features. The only exception right now is in the accounting area, but that is going to be changing here, like I said, in just a few months. So you've got this, and then of course you've got the BillQuick Online. Same capabilities. Let me come in here and do a quick login.
And while you're doing that, real quick, by the way, what you saw in the desktop software, by the way, is exactly what we cover in the course at schoolofbookkeeping.com, which is available to the public, by the way. Scholars who are registered with schoolofbookkeeping.com, I believe, get a discount on the software. I think we have a discount offered through School of Bookkeeping on it. And BillQuick Online, I've been doing a lot of content on the BQE blog lately, aimed specifically at how to take a law firm into the cloud. And it's really cool the way it seamlessly syncs between BillQuick Online and QuickBooks Online. And in the process, I discovered another interesting element, because we've been talking about moving to the cloud and using all these apps in the cloud and how you bring them together. And somebody had asked, so I looked into it, about how Bill.com might fit into the mix here. And at first I thought it might be a challenge, but then I realized because you're going cloud to cloud to cloud, the sync is seamless, and it's two ways between all the different software applications. So if I'm using BillQuick Online to gather my time and expenses so I can do my billing for my clients, that will sync up to Bill.com so that they can pay me that way. And then on the other side, if I'm using that to enter bills to pay subcontractors, those bills will sync up to Bill.com such that they can be paid. So you have this beautiful three-way cloud sync between these three beautiful cloud applications. It works so well together that I'm so excited about the future, frankly, and the kinds of efficiencies that we can create and how much more easily and quickly and efficiently we can get things done because of software like this. So I'm a real fan of the BillQuick Online product. I just wanted to say that.
And just to give you a little bit of a hint of the future, we're not even started with that kind of syncing out in the cloud. We're not even started. There's we have a new level of technology in the works, and that's about all I can say about it. But our plan is to make that syncing a whole new generation easier, a whole leap forward, and therefore just whatever you need, you're going to have this, you know, Doug Sleater often calls this chunkification and all this kind of stuff. You're going to have all the chunks working together, as he likes to say. So anyway, this is, again, your BillQuick Online. Extensive reports throughout the system, everything from the accounting to the AR to one of my favorites, of course, being an accountant, has always been the profitability reports, because I can see profitability billed, billable, by manager, by project, by invoice, by employee. If you wanted us to, we could probably do a custom report and bring it down to show you the profit by each activity that you do. So lots of good information. And one of the best parts about this is, while we do offer 500 reports, we do things like this, where you can very quickly find some things by, and then once you find that report that you want to work with, you can memorize it with the features and put it into its own personal report group. And the whole idea here, of course, is that you have a shorter list. You create an extra level of optimization of your usage, higher productivity. And that's another reason why we're called BillQuick, and the quick is the better part of it, because that's what we're always working on. Now, to also give you a sense of the Archie office and the engineer office, let's see, let's go out here, and we're going to do the engineer office right there. You can see it. Logged in as Howard Rourke. Different person, different concepts, but at the same time, you have good information. As you might see when you take a look at the two different applications, you'll see differences, you'll see a lot of similarities, but one of the key things for our future is, obviously, we don't want to have 3 major applications running around. That increases the cost for everybody. But what we want to do is take the best of both. There are things in BillQuick that aren't even in these other 2 applications because of the maturity level. We've been at it 20 years, listening to customers, adding things, always optimizing the software. Archie Office and Engineer Office has been around about 7 or 8 years. So there's a big difference there in that respect. But both of them are very, very attuned to who they're designed for. An architect coming in, for example, to Archie Office, right here, for example, they're going to take one look at this and immediately go, yeah, that's how I think. And that's why it's designed this way. Now, if you take a few more architects, they'll come back and say, no, this is how I think. So the different philosophies, the different points of view in terms of the designs resonate throughout the industries. We have people come into WebSuite, for example, who are attorneys saying, that's exactly the way I work. They'll come down here to the timers and say, yes, that's what I want. I'm going to start a second one, a third one, right here through the browser. Or if they're on the desktop, they can go out and have 60 of them running at one time if that's what they want to do. So the key is that we offer the tools, we focus them in on the people who are using them, and of course always come back and say, can we optimize in some new way? And sometimes it's just putting more white space on a page. Sometimes that's all it is. So anyway, let me go back to my slides here for a second.
And Bob, we have a question in the chat. Kelly's asking, any plans for an integration with Xero? I know other people are going to be wondering that too.
Yes, there is. That is actually in the works right now. I would expect it sometime next year. That's part of this new technology, is to make those integrations easier and faster to do. Because right now they're not hard to do, but each one of them takes a certain amount of time. And if you have a different foundation as we're building, that becomes a faster, easier way to do things. And it also means we don't have to create everything ourselves. Yeah, we'll compete with things like we built our own accounting. We did it because our customers asked us to. They wanted an all-in-one. Other customers, QuickBooks and Peachtree, fine. Xero will be fine. I learned a basic philosophy about accounting many years back, and it's often described this way. An accounting application is like a shoe. It either fits or it doesn't, and if it doesn't fit, doggone painful. So our philosophy is pick the one that works for you. Our feelings will not be hurt. We'll compete to make sure that ours is going to be in the running, but it's not going to necessarily be that we force you down that path. And unfortunately, too many of our competitors do exactly that. So, so that can become a big deal. I think you can also see our BillQuick mobile here.
Yeah, and it looks like you've updated it since the last time I did a video on it a few months ago. It looks like it's got a new interface, though. It looks great.
Actually, this is the older interface.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, okay. I haven't updated my slides since then. But at this point, you can see just a handful of pieces of information, and when you tap to choose a project or an activity or an expense, it's going directly back to the company database. You can put in the hours, use a timer. If it's an expense, the units or the dollar amount, put in a memo. And that attachment I was telling you about is the plus sign. Come in here, take a picture, pull it from the gallery, files. What I like about this, I give you an example of an expense, but I've got many engineers and architects who will go out there and take photos of a site. And then they, in order to document some of the things that's going on here, they went in here and they would attach them to the time entries. And they might even flow them all the way out to an invoice itself. So that's where this can come into play. And when you tap Save up here, it goes directly back to the company database. So it's all right there, in your hands. And like I said, desktop, online, or the in-house web product, it works with all of them. So I wanted to mention those. Like I said, let me get back to my slides here. I forgot which one is which, so okay, where'd I do? Okay, there's one with a clock. I think I've lost it. Okay.
No worries, take your time.
Okay, where'd it go?
So meanwhile, I'll check to see if we have any questions in the web forum out there. Now I lost my screens.
Okay, I think I found it. There we go. Okay, anyway, I was showing you the different products, but also we have different services too. The support, the training, the conversion, the integrations, the custom reports. These on the left side that you see, those are things that are provided as part of that that implementation and immediately after, like the technical support. The ones on the right, from listening to our customers, these are the things that they often need after they've purchased and sometimes after they've implemented. Things like a second look is a fresh perspective on how they're using our software. And this is actually what I encourage people to do when they're out there. Because when we're talking about this, I believe that the vast majority of recommenders and advisors that I speak with too often have been put into the role of being a fix-it person. which is everybody and their brother says, I know QuickBooks, I know Peachtree, and they become the fix-it person, even though they may not always be qualified to do it. But they keep driving down the hourly rate. A qualified person, a real qualified person in QuickBooks, should probably be getting anywhere between $75 and $150 an hour for what they do. Sometimes it's hard to do, but that should be a reasonable range anywhere in the U.S. What I encourage people to do is to rebrand themselves from being a fix-it person, that's the perception of them, to being an advisor. They should not look at their clients as only a QuickBooks or a bookkeeping task. Apply your expertise and seek out new knowledge. Share your observations. That's the key one. Share the observations. Not everything. You're not going to give them everything away, but you want to get them to see you in a different way. You want to change those perspectives. And this item back here I was just mentioning, the second look, that's why that was created. Our customers, a year, 2 years, 3 years down the line, would get into certain ruts. And we would often have a different perspective. And we developed a standard way to go about asking them questions to see how they might use our software more effectively. And sometimes we might even give them a couple ideas on best practices. And inevitably, it always comes down to maybe 1, 2, or 3 additional training classes, very open-ended, very back and forth kind of things. And that helps them take BillQuick to another level and get even more value from it. And then, here's another one. If you have the technical expertise, find out how you can help them keep the back end running, even if it's just to find the right IT person for them. Things like that. And then this one here, billing assistant. Somebody is sick, somebody's out. This is a service that they can't live without. So from that side, we've offered this to people. Not many of them have taken it from us, because what we do is we help people get through the billing until they can hire that new person or whatever it might be. But this is something that we've discussed extensively in-house. We believe that this is something that all of our resellers should be paying attention to. And again, if you're more technical than accounting, you should have somebody that you can turn to say, that they can help your clients. So that network of people that you have, that's where something like this comes in. So things like the billing assistance, the 10-point tune-up, which is really a technical type of service, or it's just simply being that advisor and looking over their shoulder with a fresh pair of eyes. I believe the second look is the most powerful of this group because it puts you into that advisor role. Now, I did want to mention a few of the things that are going on with the new reseller program in 2016, if you want. But
Bob, if I can interrupt you real quick before you go there, because we're getting some comments in the chat that raises some interesting questions, I think, about onboarding clients. And one of the challenges I know a lot of us as accountants have is we see the benefits, but sometimes the clients experience that inertia, and it's hard to sometimes get them to see the benefits and the value of this. And Gina mentions the second look that you talked about might help with that process. But in general, I think the question is, how do we as accountants do a better job of convincing our clients that they need this, that this will help them, that this will ultimately save them time and money, that they should not look at this as an expense, but they should be able to see the ROI on this because yes, you're paying for a product, but look what you're getting back in return for it. And my comment, and then I'll shut up and let you address it, Bob, is that when I want to onboard a client onto a new product like this, I don't just send them there. I don't just say, hey, go check this out. What I do is I usually schedule the session with them where I'm going to be logged in remotely with them, and I'm going to walk them through it, which of course means I need to know the product really well. And that's why it's great, I think, and I posted the link on the event page here on Google Plus to the events page on the BQE website because they have webinars every single week that are aimed at training you to better learn how to use the product. And the better equipped you are, the better you know how to use the product, the more easily and better able you will be to explain to your clients what the benefits are and to show them that. And as Bob said, you don't even have to do the demo. if you get them to consider it, then BQE's own staff will do, frankly, a better job of demoing their own software because they know it better than we do. But the point is, don't just send the client. Take them there. Go with them and show them the product. Walk them through it yourself, and then that's how I think you'd get them interested. And then Billy Ann points out that it's hard to get the client even after to really get the most out of the product, to really use all the features it offers. But there again, I think the answer might be to, again, schedule that remote session with them or walk them through the project management features. You all have access to, because it's available to the public, our course, if they're using the BillQuick desktop software, walks you through the whole resource allocation area, which is so powerful in terms of being able to see who's assigned to what, and it makes it really easy to reallocate people's time to different projects so that you can get the best utilization out of your staff. Anyway, Bob, back to you.
Well, you just said practically all of it. The key here is that when someone does not recognize it, it's because of their perspective. My experience with many small companies is the people making the decisions they may have started the company just to give themselves a job, and they tend to think in how many ones are in their wallet. It's not cash flow, it's how many ones do I have, and it's always that trade-off, whether it's conscious or unconscious. And by the way, it's not the number of employees, it's really the maturity of the person making the decisions, business maturity. You have the opportunity to help them become more mature. I found that when I was working with small companies, one of the things I would do is, if I hit that roadblock, that inertia would not move, I would simply say, here's the process we have to go through. And I would start asking the questions that would make them think. And I would keep them short and to the point, but they'd be the key ones. Is this working well enough for you? Okay, we're going to have to do this over here. And it's not just the software that's going to be some miracle that's going to be done, or it's going to be a little bit faster or a little bit more complete or save 2 hours a month. It's something that says, okay, we can, and just tell them. I would tell them, this will help you do this. That should save you more time and keep your people busy without running around all the time, which is an issue that they've already identified. And I would take them, through 4 or 5 items, and by that time they're saying, okay, this guy's trying to take care of me. And at that point, often even before I got to that point, I'd be taking a look and helping them from an accounting perspective, and I might point out something from their financials or something else that was observed that I would share with them. And I'd make a point to get the attention of the person running the place, the owner, and sit down and say, I need to talk to you for a couple minutes. And give them, I observed this, you might want to consider this. This is going to keep wasting time, and sometimes I would tell them you might need to find a different person for this role. Nice person, but they don't have the skill set. We either train her or we don't. And that gets them seeing their own business in a different way, and that's where the maturity comes from. It's never, I've only have it encountered a few times where it becomes a very short-term transition. But it is something that once it has transitioned, they start seeing you in a whole different way. But when it comes to transition of software, like Seth said, give them the information and help them understand what it means for them. It's always what's in it for me. If it means more faster cash flow, better profitability, better productivity, and you can point to a pain they have and what BillQuick, for example, will do for them, then they can make the connection. Most of our recommenders, by the way, they usually take 1 or 2 of the basic information sheets or brochures, and they'll print them out, keep them as PDFs, whatever it might be, and they give those to the people, to their clients who are who might have an interest or who do have an interest. And of course, as soon as they do, they then send that information to me, and I make sure it gets in the system, because inevitably they're going to check it out because they trust you. Even if you're a fix-it person, they're going to trust you to a great extent, and therefore they're going to check it out. And I want to make sure that goes right back to where it deserves to be, which is assigned to you. So that process, there is no miracle that I know of to get these guys to change perspective, but it is something that can be done for many of them. And of course, at some point, you may have to simply tell someone who is seeing you as a fix-it person to hand them off to somebody else, or simply keep raising your fee to start getting them to start seeing you in a different way. I've seen people do that as well.
Yeah, I think the real key there is just showing your clients how it's going to benefit them. And initially, stay away from talking about all the features, because we tend to want to talk about all the features and say, oh, look what it does this and it does that. But talk to them more in terms that they can understand at the level where they need to understand it at the beginning, which is not as much about the features, more about how it's going to, and I know this is going to sound a little dramatic, but it's a great way to put it, how's it going to change their lives as a result of using this product, right? It's going to make your life easier. You're going to get things done more efficiently. That efficiency is going to save you time, which saves you money, right? And ask them questions like, how much would it be worth to you to be able to take the weekends off? Because most of us running small businesses are working all weekend and all week, right? How much is that worth? If you can take the weekend off because we introduce a product that's going to help you save the time that you're now spending on billing, right? I know I've struggled with that over the years. I do my billing. I still do my billing every Sunday, right? So exactly, Kelly comments in the chat. Weekends, where are those, right? So imagine if you can go to a client and say, "Hey, I can help you get your weekends back because this product is actually going to save time. What's that worth?" Right? When we put it in those kinds of terms, then they start to get it and they become more motivated to want to learn the product. And once they're motivated to want to learn the product, now we can talk about the features, and now they're going to just get more and more excited about what it can do for them.
Seth, what you're saying, I had that exact scenario 2 days ago. I had a tutoring company who was recommended to us by one of our customers. It turns out that the CEO of that company, an engineering firm, has this tutoring company tutoring his son and his daughter. And they called, and the guy's first words to me was, "I want my Sundays back." He says, I'll still give up Saturdays, but I want my Sundays back. Well, by the time we got done, he was going to have most of his Saturday back too, because the way he had a thing structured, asking all of those questions like I just described, trying to find out where the pain was and how things flowed and so forth. By the time we were done, I had him creating automatic invoices without having to do anything for over 98% of his clients. So he was able to take it to another level and, frankly, start working more on his business and working less in it and working more on it, and so forth. So that's exactly what I experience every day when I talk to people.
Yeah, we have to. Basically, what it comes down to is we have to understand how to sell these things, and it sounds bad when I put it in that light because we think of selling things as bad, like we're not trying to sell our clients. The point is we're trying to introduce something to our clients, a tool that is going to make their lives a lot easier, that is going to help them get things done a lot more efficiently. So it's not like we're trying to just get our clients money. We're trying to get them into something that really is going to help them. But it comes down to how. So that's when it comes down to how do I sell them on this, and with the understanding that we're not trying to hurt them by selling them on something bad for them. We're trying to help them by selling them on something that's really good for them. And as long as we understand that at the premise, then selling doesn't have to have such a bad sort of flavor to it, if you know what I mean. And with that in mind, you go and you talk about the benefits. You talk about how it's going to improve their lives and their experience. Then you can get into the features as the proof of how it's going to benefit them in those ways. Bob, real quick, run us down the seller program because we only have a few minutes left and I want to make sure we get this covered.
Okay. The kickoff for the new reseller program will be in 2016 Q1. The focus is on staying top of mind with resellers, feeding you information on a regular basis, little pieces to help you get a little bit better perspective on what's out there. It may trigger with a client, but in essence, greater communication. We'll go to 3 reseller levels. We are going to be pushing to recruit and revitalize the relationships that we have, enhancements to sales and marketing tools, and we're going to be reducing the frictions. And primarily, that's going to come through additional graphics, additional information sheets and other marketing tools, web pages. We plan on adding an advisor list to our website. The key thing for friction is going to be the reseller portal. We're also going to be initiating more automatic information flow to you, having a price lookup capability, an easy quote preparation, also a facility for scheduling both our weekly or group walkthroughs, but also private demos, and there's a handful of other things that we've got planned as well. For me, most of this is going to start in very high gear for me for this probably around January 1st. So we're expecting somewhere around February 1st to March 1st where everything's going to kick into high gear.
Great. So, Bob, we'll definitely have to have you back on the Hangout in January once this is all kind of completely rolled out so that you can update us on everything we need to know. You know, and I want to highlight that, you know, and Bob, we talked about this when we talked on the phone recently. You know, people are going to have questions about, you know, one of the programs that that you can sign up for with BQE is going to cost you. And as Bob pointed out, you know, the sort of more expensive one, and I hate to use that word, but you know, one of them, the $1,295 one, includes the software, which is about what you'd spend on the software for a year. Am I right, Bob? Yeah,
you would. The $1,295 probably is about what most people would pay in the support and maintenance. So that's essentially all they're paying for. But you get access to all of our software at the enterprise level. Mm-hmm. You know, when you do the desktop pricing for our BillQuick, for example, at the enterprise level, it's $3,990 for the first 5 licenses, and then $950 for each additional 5. If you do subscription, you're looking at about $25 a month per user, and that's on an annual rate. So when you look at those and you say that this is what I need, you're getting $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 worth of software, and then all you're basically paying for your own company when you use it in your own company is the support and maintenance. Many other people just use the demo software. They're very happy with what they have. They don't need anything more, but they have the demo software and they can learn from it. Plenty of sample databases. You can move in timestamps or QuickBooks data into a new database very easily. Show your clients what the data will look like. And if they decide to go live, you can simply switch out a name and a license key, and they're live. So demo software is free. If you want to purchase it, it's $12.95 per year, and we cover everything with that. Right, and the point I wanted to make is, if you go that route, you don't have to refer too many clients to recoup that cost. Right. So, and if the point is to become a reseller, and you know, if you know you're going to have a lot of clients that you can put into the software, you're going to recoup that cost very quickly, and then after that, you're going to start making money on the sales of the software that you help make. And if you're hesitant, then you can start out at the lowest level where it doesn't cost you anything, and then once you see that you're starting to bring in more and more clients, then you can always move up. You know, and so the bottom line is email Bob at bque.com, and you can get more information about this. But the point I want to stress is, you know, that cost is going to be recovered very quickly if you're really committed to doing this and helping clients get into a product that's really going to help them. So you know, it goes back to what I started off. The very premise of all this is you can bring in an extra stream of income doing what you're already going to be doing anyway, by just getting involved in this reseller program, and then you have to stay committed to it. So, and real quick, Bob, before we run off, in the background behind you, it looked like you guys were building a rainbow bridge. Can we take a look at that? Actually, that's mine. That right there. Right there.
Yeah.
Okay. That is actually a poster from my college days called Building a Rainbow. And after pinning it to a wall for a lot of years, I finally put a frame around it. And there's 2 or 3 variations on that, but I like that one because it just always tells me what I'm after.
That's awesome.
And now on the other wall, I have 3 flags. I've got all kinds of pictures. My favorite is a little Wolverine. It's about as close as I can get to wolf without showing a wolf. But I've got those 2.
Beautiful. Bob, thank you so much for taking the time to come out. Again, you have bob@bqe.com if you want more information about anything that we've talked about today. Of course, you'll have the recording of today, which Billy Ann already said she's going to come back and watch this before she goes to see her client to talk to them about how to get more use out of BillQuick. And take advantage. They have so many resources. If you go to their site at bqe.com, there's so many resources that are available to us as accountants. They want to help us to help them. So, you know, take advantage of that stuff. And Kelly's going to be excited when you come out with the Xero integration because she likes Xero. So that's going to be exciting too. So next year we'll see that. Next January, Bob, we'll definitely have you back to talk about the newly rolled out features in terms of the reseller programs that you have. Thanks again for being with us.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.